The Duwamish River. Once 14 miles of slow-moving meanders and wetlands, work began to channelize the Duwamish in 1913 in order to reduce flooding and accommodate large container ships. This project saw to the end of a failing Native American community that had once thrived along its banks, along with many of the native species that had once called the Duwamish home. As time went on, the river became ever more industrialized. By 1920, the now 4.5-mile-long Lower Duwamish Waterway had been dredged to a depth of 50 feet and was now capable of handling seagoing vessels. It was as the river was being channelized when Boeing Plant 1 first opened along its bank. Though small and innocent looking in its first iteration, Boeing's footprint would eventually grow in the area until it became one of the worst polluters of the Duwamish.
These following pictures were taken by me on my trip down to the Duwamish. The Duwamish River is home to some of the best ports in the world and has established a manufacturing sector for Seattle, which spans from Beacon Hill in West Seattle. There are so many more businesses in this area other than Boeing. The vast majority of manufacturing sites have decided to settle at the Duwamish River. In 2006 alone, this area generated $31 million in revenue. All the business on the Duwamish has been really good for the city of Seattle, but also bad for the river. As you can see, the water quality is very bad, and the banks of the river are littered with trash.
Fishing for seafood from the Duwamish River is not very safe. The main way people are exposed to chemicals in the river is through eating the fish. This is because shellfish, resident fish, and crabs absorb all the toxic chemicals that are polluting the water. The only fish safe to eat are salmon, since they spend the shortest time in the river, making them the healthiest. It is dangerous and not recommended to catch or eat any other type of fish caught, since it can lead to death if eaten. You may ask what caused all this pollution? Well, the answer is over 100 years of industrial and urban use. This leads into the problem with corporations. Corporations consume and produce toxic products without any care of what it is doing to the environment, which then ends up affecting everyone else in the environment around us.
A major pollutant contaminating the Duwamish River is the PCB, or polychloride biphenyl. PCBs are man-made chemicals which were banned in 1979. They stay in the environment for a long period of time and can build up in fish and shellfish. They impact the immune system and may cause cancer to people who have been exposed to these chemicals over a long period of time. PCBs can affect learning disabilities in children. Furthermore, they are highly toxic to aquatic life. Monsanto is a former producer of commercial PCBs from 1935 through 1977 in the Seattle area and is known for releasing PCBs and contaminating 20,000 acres of the lower Duwamish River. The city of Seattle is currently suing Monsanto for over $700 million to clean up this contamination. Other major pollutants in the Duwamish River include arsenic, dioxins, furans, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs.
Now we come to the Superfund. The Superfund is the Federal Comprehensive Environmental Response Cleanup and Liability Act. This law requires that the nation's most toxic, hazardous waste sites be identified and cleaned up. The Lower Duwamish River was added to the National Superfund list in 2001, and the river has also been listed for cleanup by Washington State under the State Superfund. This Superfund has come with two separate phases, the first being the Early Action Cleanup which involves the immediate cleanup of 5 sites: Jorgensen Forge, Boeing Plant 2, Terminal 117 Malarkey Asphalt, and Slip 4. The second phase is the river-wide cleanup plan. This involves negotiating and funding the cleanup agreement, designing the remedy, continuing the upland source control, constructing the remedy, and long-term monitoring. The government has their plan, but how can you help? The Duwamish River offers public meetings that provide necessary services for effective public participation, including food, childcare, and language interpretation. They also provide community workshops that help residents develop a community alternative that protects human health and the environment. Through the effort of the local government and the concerned citizens, this state can clean up the Duwamish River together.